Emanating from www.michaelnimmons.com. It's the Thinking Out Loud radio show, giving voice to issues that matter to you.
I'm Kevin Merida, Senior Vice President of ESPN.
Hi everyone, this is Roxy Roll from Western Air, Bahamas.
I'm Monica Morgan, international photojournalist and motivational speaker.
Hello there, I'm meteorologist Denise Isaac from WXYZ Channel 7.
Hey, this is Maurice Griffin from BET Sunday's Best.
I'm Lauren Winfrey, TV news reporter for today's TMJ4 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
This is Dr. Eddie Connor, and you're listening to the Thinking Out Loud show with my main man, Michael Nimmons. Grew up listening and singing If I Could Be Like Mike, and I really do, so I had to listen to how he brings it, how he flows with it, how he engages you, how he speaks truth to power and inspires you to do something greater than ever before. Don't you dare miss it. Continue to listen. Think out loud, speak out loud with Michael Nimmons.
And you're listening to the Thinking Out Loud radio show.
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 So one of the best radio shows that I've ever been on.
And in Detroit, I can't go without Thinking Out Loud with my boy, Michael Nimmons.
This is Michael Eric Dyson, and when I'm in Detroit, I listen to the Thinking Out Loud radio show, dropping that knowledge, giving that inspiration, giving us that enlightenment. Nobody does it like Brother Michael does it. Do your thing. Holla. Peace.
Featuring author, motivational speaker, and minister, Michael Nimmons. Missed the 100 show? On August 7th, 2017, a show was born.
Welcome to the inaugural edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show.
Catch it on iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Spotify.
In this edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show, we're going to be switching it up a bit and taking you on a trip down memory lane, highlighting some of our most influential guests. Denise Isaac, a former meteorologist for Channel 7. Kirk Mays, CEO of Forgotten Harvest. Kevin Merida, a senior vice president at ESPN. Rexy Roll, VP and General Counsel for Western Air. Judge Vonda Evans.
God will use ordinary people to do extraordinary things.
You're tuned in to the Thinking Out Loud radio show. Keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it locked.
Tonight, we are re-airing our Dissecting the Dream show, remembering Dr. King's dream 55 years later. Tune in next week, January 29th at 8 p.m. for the first of our two-part series discussing women in politics, a conversation with speaker, activist, influencer, and ambassador, Reverend Marcia L. Dyson. Part 2 will air Tuesday, February 5th at 8 p.m. Happy MLK Day and enjoy tonight's show. The Thinking Out Loud radio show, giving voice to issues that matter to you.
What's up, family? This is Mike Nimmons, and I'm so glad that you have tuned in to another edition, a live edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show. I see people are joining us on our Facebook Live page. I am so excited. Thank you, guys. Denara Mitchell, Deborah Bess Miles. What's up, family? Thank you for joining us on the Thinking Out Loud radio show, the MLK edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show, and I'm your host, author, motivational speaker, and minister, Michael Nimmons. That's right. This is our first live edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show for the brand new year 2018. And I want to thank you for joining us on this special edition, the MLK edition, as we're calling it, commemorating and remembering the life and the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Thank you so much, those of you who are joining us on our Facebook Live fan page. I truly appreciate it. Do us a favor and share the feed on your timeline so others can join in the discussion that we're going to have on tonight. We're going to be answering the question of the week, which is, what would Dr. King say about his dream 55 years after his famous address that he made in Washington, D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial? What would he say about his dream for our country, for our people, 55 years later after his famous address that he gave at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. in 1963? We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. That's right. Those of you who are listening to us on Blog Talk Radio, that those of you who are watching us stream this show from our Facebook fan page, feel free to post your comments on our Facebook fan page or give us a call tonight at 646-787-1615. We are live tonight, the Thinking Out Loud radio show. This is our first live show of the brand new year 2018. I'm excited. I hope you are as well. Remember, those of you who are joining us on our Facebook fan page, to share the feed on your timeline so that others can join in the discussion as well. If you're watching us on Facebook, you can see that I am flanked by two of my favorite Dr. King photos and portraits behind me in my studio / office where we broadcast the Thinking Out Loud radio show. Two of my favorite portraits or pictures of Dr. King. One is him actually giving the I Have a Dream speech in Washington, D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial, and the other is a compilation of pictures of him and Malcolm X and President Barack Obama. These three individuals. So I have these. I'm flanked by these pictures. If you can see that, those of you who are watching us on our Facebook fan page, I'll get out of the way for just a second. So those of you who are watching can see those pictures of Dr. King and Barack Obama and Malcolm X. These are a couple of my favorite pictures that I have in my office / studio where we broadcast the Thinking Out Loud radio show. And I'm, again, very happy to be sharing with you this live edition, this MLK edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show. Dr. King would be 89 years on yesterday. And what would his message be for Black America? What would he have to say to this country? Which brings us again to our question of the week. What would Dr. King say about his dream 55 years after his famous address in Washington, D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial? We want to hear from you on tonight, so feel free to post your comments on our Facebook fan page or give us a call at 646-787-1615. That is the phone number. And also, remember to follow us on all of our social media accounts. On Facebook at Thinking Out Loud Radio, on Instagram at the TOL Radio Show, and on Twitter at TOL Radio Show. Those are our social media accounts that you can follow us, as well as you can listen to us right from our website, michaelnimmons.org. Go there right now and click on TOL Radio Show, which is one of the menu items on the homepage, and there's a drop down menu that'll show up where you'll go right to our Blog Talk Radio show page, and you can listen to this show right from michaelnimmons.org. Very, very simple, very easy way that you can listen to our show. So many ways that you can listen to our show. You know, we always say variety is the spice of life, and that's what I love. There's so many ways you can listen to us, and even if you happen to miss our show and you're listening to the podcast, you're listening on iTunes, Google Play Music, or TuneIn, we appreciate you just the same. Thank you so much for taking the time to find us and listen to our show, and even subscribe to our show so you won't miss a minute of Thinking Out Loud Radio. And those of you who are listening or streaming the show live right now, you're connected to social media, do us a favor and share a post about tonight's show using the hashtag TOL Radio Show MLK18. TOL Radio Show MLK18. You can take a selfie and use the hashtag or repost tonight's show link on your social media accounts. Let somebody know on your timeline that we're remembering Dr. King tonight on the Thinking Out Loud Radio Show on Blog Talk Radio. Those that do will be sure to repost and retweet and reshare your post about tonight's show on all of our social media accounts. It is greatly appreciated. And always remember to stick around for our thought of the week. We have a very powerful and inspiring thought of the week for you on tonight's special edition of the Thinking Out Loud Radio Show. Oh, I see my good friend Pastor Gary Green is listening. How you doing, my man? God bless you, brother. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Thinking Out Loud Radio Show. Me and him go back and forth all the time, but we love each other. Do me a favor and share the feed on your timeline. We're talking Dr. King on tonight on the Thinking Out Loud Radio Show. But before we do, in our current events segment, the first thing we want to talk about, Hawaii missile crisis. According to Washington Post, shortly after 8 a.m. on Saturday, an employee at the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency settled in at the start of his shift. Among the duties that day was to initiate an internal test of the emergency missile warning system, essentially to practice sending emergency alert to the public without sending it to the public. It was a drill that the agency has started with some regularity. Last November, around the time Hawaii reinstated its Cold War era nuclear warning sirens and growing fears of an attack by North Korea. And so while the tests were not yet routine enough to be predictable, they were not entirely new either. According to an agency spokesperson, around 8:05 a.m. on Saturday, the Hawaii emergency employee initiated the internal test according to the timeline released by the state. From a drop-down menu, they saw two options: test missile alert and missile alert. Now, he was supposed to choose the former. As much of the world now knows, he chose the latter and initiated a real-life missile alert. In this case, the operator selected the wrong menu option. HEMA spokesperson Rich Raposa told the Washington Post on Sunday, and sent Hawaii into mass hysteria from what I understand. So even though this sounds like one gigantic mistake made by a state employee, why haven't we heard anything from Washington, D.C. about this? You know, we haven't heard anything from the Trump administration. And I believe you can imagine the panic and hysteria on the minds of the Hawaiians on Saturday when this missile launch was supposed to take place. I mean, I hear people were sending texts out. They were saying goodbye to their loved ones, and it was just mass hysteria early morning in Hawaii on Saturday. And, this is just it's irresponsible for the White House to not have addressed this at all on their end. And also, if you recall, on last Tuesday, we have a H&M story update. On last Tuesday, we talked about the H&M Clothier retail clothing outlet that posted a racist ad in their website of a little black boy in a green hoodie that says "coolest monkey in the jungle." And we talked about the backlash this company received on social media about this ad, not just from regular people, but black celebrities like LeBron James and Sean P. Diddy Combs. H&M ultimately took down the racist ad and offered an apology to whoever they offended. I still have a problem with the tone of that "whoever they offended" comment. It almost as if you can hear the person's sarcasm and insincerity in this "whoever we offended" comment. Nevertheless, we have an interesting update to this story from the boy's mother. If you recall, we mentioned that we thought not only was H&M racially and morally and ethically irresponsible posting this racist ad, but that the boy's parents should be held accountable as well. And if you were wondering what his parents had to say about the ad, according to news site Blavity.com, the mother of the little boy says to everyone offended by the racist ad to get over it. That's right. She told us those that were offended by this little boy modeling in a hoodie that said "coolest monkey in the jungle," she says to get over it. And her exact words, that's right. Her words regarding the otherwise racially offensive ad, she's telling everyone who was offended to get over it. Terry Mango, that's the mother's name, wrote on her Facebook page, according to Blavity.com, "I am the mum," M-U-M, not mom, mum. And this is one of thousands of outfits from my son that he's modeled. "Stop crying wolf all the time. Unnecessary issue here." Here, her use of the word mum instead of mom suggests that she is from another country, which also suggests that she doesn't completely understand the racial stereotypes in this country. This is definitely a story that I want to revisit during our discussion of Dr. King's dream. And finally, I want to wish a very special person, aside from Dr. King celebrating his birthday on yesterday. There's a very special young man I want to send a birthday shout out to as well. Thinking Out Loud radio show, and that's my dad, Herbert Nimmons. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are wondering who is the impetus behind this radio show, in fact, the impetus behind much of what we do, well, wonder no more. It's my everyday motivator, my dad. I want to send him a very special Thinking Out Loud radio show birthday shout out. Everybody, let's wave to my dad. Happy birthday. I know he's listening. We want to send a very special birthday shout out to you on this MLK edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show. We love and truly appreciate you. Well, guys, we're going to take our first break of the night, but when we come back, we're going to get right into tonight's discussion, Dissecting the Dream, discussing Dr. King's dream 55 years later. We'll get your thoughts and more on the other side of this break. It's the Thinking Out Loud radio show. We'll be right back.
Detroit Youth Choir, and you're listening to the Thinking Out Loud radio show.
The Thinking Out Loud radio show, giving voice to issues that matter to you.
It's their birthday and need a gift for that special someone? Then call KCN Designs and sit back and smile. KCN Designs specialize in custom-made all-occasion baskets that are sure to make that special someone smile. Call KCN Designs today at 248-820-3691 and order your custom basket today.
Hi, my name is Maya, and you're listening to the Thinking Out Loud radio show with radio show host and my daddy, Michael Nimmons.
You better listen to that, little girl.
professional tax and bookkeeping service, then look no further than Consumer Tax Connect. This is a full-service preparation and bookkeeping service that prides itself on great customer service, professionalism, and getting results. Have tax returns that still need to be filed or getting audited or having issues with the IRS? Call Consumer Tax Connect today at 248-395-0079. That's 248-395-0079. Consumer Tax Connect, a tax service designed with you in mind. I'm Michael Nimmons, Executive Director of the Vision Initiative, a nonprofit organization designed to give inner city and urban youth a new vision for themselves through mentorship programs, empowerment sessions, scholarships, and much more.
Just go to facebook.com/The Vision Initiative and find out how to donate and become a mentor or volunteer. The Vision Initiative, opening the eyes of today's youth to new possibilities. Come join the Vision.
You're tuned in to the Thinking Out Loud radio show. Keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it locked.
Tonight, we are re-airing our Dissecting the Dream show, remembering Dr. King's dream 55 years later. Tune in next week, January 29th at 8 p.m. for the first of our two-part series discussing women in politics. A conversation with speaker, activist, influencer, and ambassador, Reverend Marcia L. Dyson. Part 2 will air Tuesday, February 5th at 8 p.m. Happy MLK Day, and enjoy tonight's show. The Thinking Out Loud radio show, giving voice to issues that matter to you.
I say to you today, my friend, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Get ready for the Thinking Out Loud radio show question of the week. Well, family, we are back, and I hope you're enjoying the Thinking Out Loud MLK edition on tonight. And we're getting into our question of the week. What would Dr. King say
about his dream 55 years after his famous address in Washington, D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial. All of us, I'm sure, are familiar with Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech that he gave in August of 1963 at the Lincoln Memorial in front of 250,000 people. This speech was a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement, and it helped to galvanize the movement and raise Dr. King's profile to the official voice of Black America during that time. And we've come a long way as a country since those days of Jim Crow and segregation and discrimination in the South. Even though, even Dr. King, I believe, would agree that not just Black America, but this entire country has come a very long way since those dreadful days of segregation and discrimination in the South. I see DeMarco Moore is on with me. What's up, Doc? God bless you, man. Thank you for joining us on the Thinking Out Loud radio show. Feel free to share the feed on your timeline. We're talking Dr. King's dream, remembering Dr. King tonight on the Thinking Out Loud radio show. And I mean, the progress of this country and our people should have always have almost been inevitable in some respects, because I mean, you know, a reasonably thinking person would agree that our nation should have made some progress in terms of correcting some of its deficiencies with regards to equal rights for all citizens, fair and equitable wages, fair housing, and in many cases, Black Americans have been the recipients of upward mobility in this country, and we are the best and brightest when it comes to education, entertainment, athletics, business, and journalism, technology, politics, and the law, and the list goes on and on and on. So we are the best and the brightest. And yes, we have progress. And we had our first African-American president in Barack Obama. And I think Dr. King will be ecstatic about this accomplishment as a race of people. For us to finally have had someone in the Oval Office that looks like us is a credit to Dr. King's tireless struggle for civil and equal rights for not just Black folks, but all Americans. Now, I believe Dr. King would be proud of the example that President Obama was not just for Black people, but for all people. And I believe Dr. King would have been proud of President Obama as an intelligent, articulate, and charismatic Black man representing this country as the leader of the free world. Dr. King will be proud of the fact that this president was a Black man that keenly understood that he stood on the shoulders of great men like Dr. King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Medgar Evers, Asa Philip Randolph, Thurgood Marshall, W.E.B. Du Bois, and many, many others. The list goes on. And he'd be honored and that he reverenced his Blackness and he honored it. And so, yes, we have come a long ways as a country and definitely as a people. And I want to know what your thoughts are. I see another friend of mine on, Sean Allen. What's up, Doc? God bless you, man. Thank you for joining us on the Thinking Out Loud radio show. We're again talking about the legacy and the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his dream. And want to know what your thoughts are about his dream. I know I have my thoughts and my opinions of it, and we're going to get into more of it as we continue throughout the show. We're going to take another break tonight, and when we come back, we want to discuss and really deal with the question. Yes, we've come a long way, but have we really come far enough? I want to talk about that and more on the other side of this break. It's the Thinking Out Loud radio show. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the Thinking Out Loud radio show. Keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it locked.
Hi, I'm Michael Nimmons, Executive Director of the Vision Initiative, a nonprofit organization designed to give inner city and urban youth a new vision for themselves through mentorship programs, empowerment sessions, scholarships, and much more.
Just go to facebook.com/The Vision Initiative and find out how to donate and become a mentor or volunteer. The Vision Initiative, opening the eyes of today's youth to new possibilities. Come join the vision.
Helen Keller once said, "The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision." What a truly profound and compelling statement. Our book entitled Vision is strategically designed to give you the tools you need to see yourself and your future in a whole new way. Vision, coming soon. Visit michaelnimmons.org for more details. It's their birthday and need a great present for that special someone? Call KCN Designs and sit back and smile. KCN Designs specializes in all occasion custom baskets that are sure to make that special someone smile. Call KCN Designs at 248-820-3691 and order your custom basket today.
Don't touch that dial. It's the Thinking Out Loud radio show. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Maya, and you're listening to the Thinking Out Loud radio show with radio show host and my daddy, Michael Nimmons.
You better listen to that little girl.
Hello there, I'm meteorologist Denise Isaac from WXYZ Channel 7, and you're listening to the Thinking Out Loud radio show.
The Thinking Out Loud radio show, giving voice to issues that matter to you.
You're tuned in to the Thinking Out Loud radio show. Keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it locked.
Tonight, we are re-airing our Dissecting the Dream show, remembering Dr. King's dream 55 years later. Tune in next week, January 29th at 8 p.m. for the first of our two-part series discussing women in politics. A conversation with speaker, activist, influencer, and ambassador, Reverend Marcia L. Dyson. Part 2 will air Tuesday, February 5th at 8 p.m. Happy MLK Day and enjoy tonight's show. The Thinking Out Loud radio show, giving voice to issues that matter to you.
One day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. Dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true."
We're back, and we are remembering the life and the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on this MLK edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show. And you know, when I thought about this show, this is one of the first shows that I wanted to do when I thought about putting this radio show together, being able to talk about a man like Dr. King, who I've admired even as a young man, and not being alive during the civil rights movement, but only reading about him and hearing his speeches and his lectures and his powerful oratory, and how he was able to connect with black people in such a way that he galvanized the civil rights movement during the 1960s. And I was just so impressed with him. And again, I am thankful for this opportunity to share this show, the MLK edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show, with you on tonight, as we discuss that I have a dream speech that he gave 55 years ago in Washington, D.C. What would Dr. King say about his dream that he gave 55 years ago in Washington at the Lincoln Memorial? What would he say about his dream for our country, for our people? We have a comment from Pastor David Bryan, a good friend of ours, who posted on our Facebook page. He said, "I think he would be pleased that we elected an African-American president. He would be pleased with the monument in D.C. and the museum, but I don't think he would like the fact that we have neglected to continue to push the agenda that he began. I don't think he would be pleased with some of the behavior." That some, I don't see the rest of his comment, but I agree with Dr. Bryan's comments and echo his sentiments as well. In fact, Congressman Maxine Waters tweeted out today that if MLK was alive, he'd be marching not only for civil rights and protecting voting rights, but to urge members of Congress to accept their responsibility to save the United States from a dangerous man. We all know who that man is, has no respect for our Constitution and no concern for strengthening our democracy. And I certainly believe she's right on that front, that Dr. King will be a vocal opponent of President Trump on practically every single policy or piece of legislation, and this crooked Republican-led Congress has come up with. Dr. King would be against dismantling of DACA. He would definitely be against building a wall to keep immigrants out of this country. He would be against dismantling of universal health care, and which should be a right afforded to all Americans. And the same Republican-led Congress that wants to dismantle universal health care already has the best health care that money can buy. It's shameful how this country treats its poor, elderly, and immigrant population. You know, and then Reverend Dr. William Barber, a powerful and eloquent orator and speaker in his own right, and humanitarian and political activist, tweeted out on yesterday during the King holiday, If King were alive now, he would be standing with DACA and all immigrants. He would challenge a tax reform bill that transferred $2 trillion from the poor to the wealthy. He would be dealing head on with health care and the resegregation of public schools. Reverend Dr. Barber also said Dr. King would challenge a nation that spends 54 cents of every dollar on a military. He would be building a poor people's campaign to shift the moral narrative in America. And I completely agree with Dr. Barber. Whether we believe it or not, the middle class is continuing to shrink. It is shrinking. And before you know it, it will only be two classes in America. It's almost there right now, the poor and the rich. And it is economically debilitating legislation like the tax reform bill that was just passed that continues to take from the poor and give to the rich, which undermines the welfare of the middle class by continuing to shrink it as it pilfers and pillages from it to give to the richest 1% of this country. And it's just amazing. The wealthiest 1% of this nation, Republicans either don't have a clue or don't care how they're hurting the middle class, which really is the backbone of this country. The middle class is quickly becoming the working poor, and the Republicans in Congress do not seem to care, but they continue to market this divisive legislation as a Christmas gift to the American people. You know, the question comes up all the time, do they really think that less of us? Do they really think that we don't have a brain, we can't think, and we would just accept what they say? And the answer always comes back, this legislation most likely proves that they do. They don't really think much of the American people. Those of you who are listening to us, feel free to call us. We want to get your thoughts and comments on the question of the week, as well as those of you who are watching us stream this show live on our Facebook fan page. We truly appreciate you. Call us at 646-787-1615. That is the phone number. But our answer to these spineless Republicans, that's right, we call them spineless Republicans, is coming up in November during the midterm elections. And we as Americans have to remind Congress what we sent them to Washington to do, to serve and to represent our self-interest, to represent the best interest of the American people and not their own selfish self-interest. We have to remind Congress in November that they are our employees, and if they are not going to represent our best interest, that they need to be fired, and we need to elect the people that are going to do what we sent them to Washington to do. I know I got a witness out there somewhere. Look out for the American people coming up in November. Nowadays, this phrase, look out for American people, has become such a cliche. When politicians say we're doing this, we're looking out for the American people, because those who evoke this phrase are only using it as a way to mask their own greed and selfish self-interest. I see my good friend Anthony White is on the line on our feed with us. What's up, Doc? Do us a favor and share the feed on your timeline. Thank you for tuning in to the MLK edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show. We're talking Dr. King tonight on the Thinking Out Loud radio show. So, again, if Dr. King were alive, he would be highly disappointed in the divisive politics of Congress and the White House, and he would be a public and vocal opponent of this administration. But I truly do believe that. I believe he will be a vocal opponent of Donald Trump, a vocal opponent of Paul Ryan, a vocal opponent of Mitch McConnell, and all those like him, spineless Republicans who do not care about the American people that we represent. Anthony White said MLK was more than a dreamer. I'd like to know what elaborate on that for us, brother, so we can make sure that we include those comments on our show. He was more than a dreamer. He was more than a dreamer, and I believe that as well. I believe that Dr. King was more than a dreamer, but he was an activist. He got things done. He was a mover and a shaker. He was a orator, a powerful man that God used to change the course of this country. We're going to take another break, but when we come back, I want to get into this question of, are we truly honoring Dr. King's legacy each year? We remember his birthday, or has he become an immortal mascot? That's right. Has he become an immortal mascot? I'll explain on the other side of the break. We'll be back. It's the Thinking Out Loud radio show.
You're tuned in to the Thinking Out Loud radio show. Keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it locked.
This is Michael Eric Dyson, and when I'm in Detroit, I listen to the Thinking Out Loud radio show, dropping that knowledge, giving that inspiration, giving us that enlightenment. Nobody does it like Brother Michael does it. Do your thing. Holla. Peace.
The Thinking Out Loud radio show, giving voice to issues that matter to you.
Hi, I'm Michael Nimmons, Executive Director of the Vision Initiative, a nonprofit organization designed to give inner city and urban youth a new vision for themselves through mentorship programs, empowerment sessions, scholarships, and much more.
Just go to facebook.com/The Vision Initiative and find out how to donate and become a mentor or volunteer. The Vision Initiative, opening the eyes of today's youth to new possibilities. Come join the Vision.
Helen Keller once said, "The only thing worse than being blind is having sight, but no vision." What a truly profound and compelling statement. Our book entitled Vision is strategically designed to give you the tools you need to see yourself and your future in a whole new way. Vision, coming soon. Visit michaelnimmons.org for more details. Looking for a professional tax and bookkeeping service? Then look no further than Consumer Tax Clinic. This is a full-service preparation and bookkeeping service that prides itself on great customer service, professionalism, and getting results. Have tax returns that still need to be filed, or getting audited, or having issues with the IRS? Call Consumer Tax Clinic today at 248-395-0079. That's 248-395-0079. Consumer Tax Clinic, a tax service designed with you in mind. Don't touch that dial. It's the Thinking Out Loud radio show. We'll be right back.
Tonight, we are re-airing our Dissecting the Dream show, remembering Dr. King's dream 55 years later. Tune in next week, January 29th at 8 p.m. for the first of our two-part series discussing women in politics. A conversation with speaker, activist, influencer, and ambassador, Reverend Marcia L. Dyson. Part 2 will air Tuesday, February 5th at 8 p.m. Happy MLK Day and enjoy tonight's show. The Thinking Out Loud radio show, giving voice to issues that matter to you.
So let freedom ring from the Georgia. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom ring, and when this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Wow. I don't know about you, but listening to that speech, man, just gives me goosebumps. I mean, that man was a powerful orator. I don't care what you think of Dr. King. I truly believe that he was anointed by God to do what he did as the leader of the civil rights movement. I mean, God used him in a mighty way, and just listening to that speech gave me goosebumps. Literally, I mean, I have goosebumps as I'm listening to the I Have a Dream speech. I hope you are enjoying this MLK edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show. And my good friend Anthony White continued on his comment by saying Dr. King was the front man for the civil rights movement, charismatic, very intelligent, and much more. America has not lived up to the dream as of yet, 50 years later. Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate that, man. I agree with you. And we're continuing our discussion of Dissecting the Dream, discussing Dr. King's dream 55 years later. And the question of the week is, what would Dr. King say about his dream 55 years after his famous address in Washington, D.C. at the Lincoln Memorial? And we also asked the question before we went to break, a question I think speaks to the motives of these types of celebrations for public figures like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Are we truly honoring Dr. King's legacy each year we remember his birthday or the day he was assassinated, or has he become what I call an immortal mascot? January 15th is supposed to be a day of activism and volunteerism in our communities across the country. It's supposed to be a day where we give back and help others. It's supposed to be a yearly reminder of our responsibility to one another as human beings. But this day is typically treated as another day off work. And what's even more disturbing to me is everyone who regularly opposes legislation or policies that help the poor and the indigent and immigrants and middle class will boldly profess on this day how they admire and how they love the life and the legacy of Dr. King. His memory, it seems, has become a couple of sentences on a racist, narcissistic, misogynistic, sexist man that this nation happens to refer to as Mr. President, who, by the way, after being asked during a press conference if he was racist, responded, "I'm not a racist." Let me tell you something, Mr. Trump. If you're constantly being asked if you are a racist and you have to constantly say that you're not a racist, guess what? You are racist. The problem with that statement, Mr. Trump, is that your actions are speaking much louder than your words. And I believe that Trump made those racist comments in a private meeting, but those spineless Republicans won't own up to it and out the racist president they've become so loyal to. And I tweeted about this a couple of days ago and I won't say his name, but someone who has a radio show as well tweeted back in so many words that this was a private conversation that was basically leaked to the media. So there you have it. He did say it. And there, Mr. Trump, there is such a thing as decorum. You are the president of the United States. What you say does matter. And I really think that this is lost on this man. He still doesn't understand the power his words has because of his office. He's not talking as Trump, the private citizen of this country. He's not speaking as Trump, the billionaire real estate tycoon. He's speaking as the leader of the free world. And that does indeed matter. That changes the narrative. That changes what you say from a simple private citizen to a man that could possibly do something to change the policies and practices of how this country deals with Haiti and the African nations that were being discussed in that private meeting. One thing that has come out of the election of Donald Trump or Chump last year is a term that has seemed to challenge how far we really have come as a country, how far we have really come as a nation, and that is a term that many call white privilege. I attended a lecture at Wayne State University given by Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, one of my favorite authors and favorite public speakers, where he discussed his latest book, Tears We Cannot Stop, a sermon to white America, where he talks about the concept of white privilege and how this may be one of the reasons why Donald Trump or Chump has not been impeached by now, because too many Republicans are covering or cowering for his ineptitude, his inane and oftentimes insane behavior simply because he's white. You know what they say, if it's white, it's right. The color of Trump's skin may very well be his saving grace. However, if, for example, this was President Obama, who was a blithering idiot at the podium, who berated and belittled the press and called their reporting fake news, these will be considered impeachable offenses, not just by his opponents on the other side of the aisle, but from some of his own supporters that also happen to share the same skin color as him. This is the disturbing and disingenuous part in all of this. No one is bold enough and brave enough of the men who stand the closest to 45 in the public and call a spade a spade. Well, we're going to take our last break of the night. I again hope you are enjoying our discussion on this great man, this iconic figure in history, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. When we come back, we're going to give you our thought of the week. Stay close. It's a Thinking Out Loud radio show. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the Thinking Out Loud radio show. Keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it locked.
Hi, I'm Michael Nimmons, Executive Director of the Vision Initiative, a nonprofit organization designed to give inner city and urban youth a new vision for themselves through mentorship programs, empowerment sessions, scholarships, and much more.
Just go to facebook.com/The Vision Initiative and find out how to donate and become a mentor or volunteer. The Vision Initiative, opening the eyes of today's youth to new possibilities. Come join the Vision.
Who told you that you were deficient? Who told you that you were nothing? Who told you that you were worthless? Who told you that you had no value?
Purchase our book, Who Told You That You Were Naked, from our website, michaelnimmons.org. Don't delay. Do it today. Also available on Amazon.
professional tax and bookkeeping service, then look no further than Consumer Tax Connect. This is a full-service preparation and bookkeeping service that prides itself on great customer service, professionalism, and getting results. Have tax returns that still need to be filed or getting audited or having issues with IRS? Call Consumer Tax Connect today at 248-395-0079. That's 248-395-0079. Consumer Tax Connect, a tax service designed with you in mind.
You're tuned in to the Thinking Out Loud Radio Show. Keep it locked, keep it locked, keep it locked.
We're Detroit Youth Choir, and you're listening to the Thinking Out Loud Radio Show.
The Thinking Out Loud Radio Show, giving voice to issues that matter to you. Tonight, we are re-airing our Dissecting the Dream show, remembering Dr. King's dream 55 years later. Tune in next week, January 29th at 8 p.m. for the first of our two-part series discussing women in politics, a conversation with speaker, activist, influencer, and ambassador, Reverend Marcia L. Dyson. Part 2 will air Tuesday, February 5th at 8 p.m. Happy MLK Day and enjoy tonight's show. The Thinking Out Loud Radio Show, giving voice to issues that matter to you.
It's time for the Thinking Out Loud Radio Show Thought of the Week.
In the spirit of the King holiday, our thought of the week is taken from Genesis, the 37th chapter, verses 18 through 20. And when they saw him afar off, even before they came near to him, they conspired to kill him. And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, let us slay him and cast him into some pit, and we will say, Some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. This is not a statement from Joseph's enemies, but this is a statement coming directly from Joseph's blood brothers. Their jealousy of him was so deep and so severe that they contemplated killing him to satisfy their devious appetite. And whether you know it or not, you've got some haters that are jealous of you and the calling that God has on your life. And verse 18 implicitly suggests this by saying, and they saw Joseph afar off, meaning they were watching him. And you have some people that are watching you, have been watching you for a long time, and they're not watching you in admiration. They're not watching to see you, to see what you're going to do next. They're not watching to see your greatness, but they're watching to see your downfall. They only want to see your demise. But I hear God saying he's giving your enemies a front row seat to your success. They're going to get an up close and personal view of the blessing he has in store for you. And just like Joseph, God has given each of us a dream or a vision to fulfill, and we can't let anything or anybody stop us from doing what God would have us to do. And even though Joseph's brothers decided not to kill at Reuben's behest, they collectively thought they could somehow thwart the plan of God for Joseph's life by intervening or interrupting it in some way. But God is far too intelligent, too strong, and his plan for our lives is far too great for him to allow that to happen. So in other words, God's plan for our lives is too big for us to spend our time worrying about the haters. Your time is best spent walking in your purpose, and let the haters continue bringing up the rear. Always remember, the enemy's only after people that are going somewhere. So if the enemy's after you, then that must mean that you're going somewhere. My advice to you then is don't stop. Keep going. Man, I'm so excited and glad that you have tuned in to this MLK edition of the Thinking Out Loud radio show. I hope that you enjoyed our show on tonight as we commemorated the life and the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I want to thank you, the Thinking Out Loud radio show listeners, for taking the time out of your schedule to listen to us on tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in and helping us. And again, we appreciate you, those of you who are listening to us on our live show, listening on Blog Talk Radio, or listening and watching us on as we stream the show from our Facebook fan page. I'm thankful for everything that you do for us in support of our show, and we truly, truly do appreciate you. Thank you so much, and continue to support us. Subscribe to the podcast. Share our feed on your timeline. Let somebody know what's going on the Thinking Out Loud radio show. This is a show that is that's inspirational, full of positivity, motivational. If you want to get an encouraging word, if you want to be inspired, if you want to be motivated, tune in to the Thinking Out Loud radio show. That's all we got going on here, and I truly appreciate those of you who listen to us week in and week out. Well, until next time and same station, we're going to be back next week with another Power Pack show just for you. And until next time, if you think it, then you can believe it. If you believe it, then you will see it. If you see it, then you will be it. If you can be it, then you will achieve it. The power rests within you. The mind is the most powerful muscle in your body. Use what you got to get what you want. The power is in you. It's the Thinking Out Loud radio show. Thanks.
Tonight, we are re-airing our Dissecting the Dream show, remembering Dr. King's dream 55 years later. Tune in next week, January 29th at 8 p.m. for the first of our two-part series discussing women in politics, a conversation with speaker, activist, influencer, and ambassador, Reverend Marcia L. Dyson. Part 2 will air Tuesday, February 5th at 8 p.m. Happy MLK Day, and enjoy tonight's show. The Thinking Out Loud radio show, giving voice to issues that matter to you. Thank you for listening to the Thinking Out Loud Radio Show podcast. Be sure to support all of our radio show partners. If you like the show, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, or Spotify. Want to book radio show host Michael Nimitz for a speaking engagement, book signing, or corporate event? Send an email to contact@michaelnimitz.com. Be sure to follow the show on all of its social media accounts, on Instagram @TOL Radio Show, on Twitter @TOL Radio Show, or on our Facebook fan page at www.facebook.com/Thinking Out Loud Radio Show. Are you an entrepreneur? Want to advertise? Become a Thinking Out Loud Radio Show partner and take advantage of our free and introductory advertising offers. Send an email to thinkingoutloudradioshow@gmail.com for more details. Visit the new home of the Thinking Out Loud Radio Show at www.michaelnimitz.com/TOL Radio Show. The Thinking Out Loud Radio Show, giving voice to issues that matter to you.